fight, abandon. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, Chair now recognizes Representative Kinzinger. You're recognized.
Well, thank you, Chairman Leader Jeffries. Thanks for having me. It's way different on this side, guys, let me tell you. I want to just briefly talk about the whole idea of this plaque. It's shocking to me, by the way, that has not been put up. Now, I am convinced that it will be put up at least by next January, and I'll humbly suggest maybe you can double the size of it by then. 5 years ago today, the president decided that America's legacy of transfer of power was beneath him. It was beneath him. And we all know what he did. He sent the mob to the Capitol and tried to rob the American people of their votes. He aimed to destroy America's self-determination and replace it with his own corrupt will. We've all seen the videos. We even saw them today. You know how vicious it was. No rational person can look at that violence that occurred on January 6th and think that it is not wrong. But even more concerning is that threats to our democracy have continued beyond what we've witnessed 5 years ago. And it's continued to today. The persistent threat to our nation lies in how Donald Trump and his allies have manufactured an alternate reality of conspiracies to support their violent siege of our democracy. It's simple. They want to rewrite history. By the way, we won't let them. These conspiracies started even before January 6th. The moment that Donald Trump realized that he could lose to Joe Biden, he began touting the big lie to undercut the public's trust in the election. And we all know that the thing that holds us together as Americans and the thing that allows us to self-govern is our belief that we can vote. If you're allowed to vote, the votes are counted and the winner wins. And when you violate that, you create real damage to the American people. When he began touting that big lie, he wanted us to believe that the election was stolen, that there was widespread voter fraud. This has been unequivocally disproven. It's been debunked by a series of independent agencies, Trump's own advisors, and more than 60 courts that did not rule in Trump's favor. And yet Donald Trump continues to spin. Trump even lied a few weeks ago when he told a little girl calling the White House on Christmas Eve that he had won Pennsylvania in 2020. He said he won Pennsylvania 3 times. It's a great thing to tell a kid that wants to know where Santa is. And his supporters follow suit, either knowingly pushing debunked conspiracy theories or still duped by the MAGA cult to spread ridiculous, widely disproven narratives whitewashing Trump's role in minimizing the attack. For example, his followers claim that Capitol Police opened the door to rioters, even though we have the footage of these officers being attacked and run down, with rioters literally stepping over injured officers to get inside. They claim that the January 6th attack was a sudden, unpredictable event. In reality, Trump sent rioters to the Capitol on January 6th, and we have the receipts showing that extremist right-wing groups planned the attacks for weeks beforehand. They also like to claim that the left-wing group Antifa, not Trump supporters, secretly orchestrated all the violence on January 6th. But we know it was groups like the Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, that started the violence on the 6th. DOJ's and FBI's own investigation debunked that wild theory. Many of my fellow Republicans even want to pretend that Donald Trump wasn't responsible for it and that he did not condone the violence on January 6th, even though we all can plainly see that it was Donald Trump who called on his supporters to march down Pennsylvania Avenue and fight like hell. It was Donald Trump who sat in the White House, as we discussed, for 187 minutes, watching the attack unfold, throwing gasoline on the flames with his 2:24 p.m. tweet, targeting Vice President Pence in the middle of it. And since then, he's called January 6th defendants political prisoners and hostages. I want to point out here for a second that when these folks were arrested, they were contrite, as Ms. Hemphill was. And then the whole media organization of some of these came around and started calling them political prisoners. And when they did, they made them victims. And then that's when you saw the narrative change from they broke the law to their victims. This is then in one of the first acts of the president's term, he immediately pardoned all of those people who took up arms for his wicked cause that day. I hear often, well, Adam, Trump only pardoned the innocent ones. He never pardoned. Cop beaters are real criminals. Well, that's obviously another false narrative. He didn't just pardon the nonviolent or non-dangerous people, he pardoned every single criminal who beat, kicked, punched, and pepper sprayed over 140 of our law enforcement officers. He pardoned every single criminal who helped drag a screaming officer into a crowd and said to shoot him with his own gun. I get asked frequently, why are you still going on about January 6th? Can't you just let it go? If our country had achieved real accountability and deterrence, we could move on. But we have not. A fact made clear by Donald Trump still spinning his conspiracies and his base still continuing to promote them. Donald Trump knows that these lies and stories only strengthen his power over the American people. How can I allow this without sharing what I know to be true, that on January 6th he tried to overthrow his government and call myself a patriot? How can I let that happen and call myself a patriot? How can we ever ensure that our votes matter if we bow to the narrative of a president who incites an insurrection, denies doing it, and then pardons the insurrectionists? The rewriting of January 6th is un-American. That's why we're here on this important day, to safeguard our democracy and call out corruption without fear of Donald Trump's persecution, so that a day like this may never stay in our country again. I also get asked a lot, what did the January 6th committee accomplish? And I'll tell you, we may have another few years, we have to continue to battle this misinformation, but I guarantee you that my kid and my grandkid and his grandkid will know the truth of what happened on that day, because while the DOJ was not allowed to finish their investigation because the president knew exactly what they had, and he made them drop it. Because of that, the only living record was the January 6th committee, and I am proud of our work, and I yield back.
Thank you so much for your testimony today. Very powerful. You both have served this country in various ways before, during and after your service. Representative Luria, you've had a distinguished career in the U.S. Navy. Representative Kinzinger, you've served in the U.S. Air Force and National Guard. Given that record of service, what would you tell those who are in nonpartisan professional roles in the U.S. government right now?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. During my time in the military, I was never a very partisan person. And I think that, serving on the deployment, sailors operating nuclear reactors, for example, I didn't turn to them and say, are you a Democrat, are you a Republican? We're serving the country, we're serving the Constitution, we're carrying out a mission that's very important for the defense of our nation and preserving democracy. And I think for today, some people in uniform, it can be challenging to see the rhetoric that's surrounding this, to see the lies I cited in my remarks, the attacks on a sitting U.S. senator. It's chilling to say that someone who has simply said the words, only follow legal orders, is being persecuted, perhaps punished directly by DOD financially for saying those words. What about the sailor or soldier on the deck plates or in the field? What are they to do in this environment if they're given an illegal order? When someone with so many resources and such a powerful platform to speak and defend themselves is being attacked. So I find it very concerning, and along the themes of what I was trying to describe about how not only January 6th, but the follow-on to January 6th, and not how that is perpetuated through the second Trump administration, has a very dangerous and chilling effect on our democracy and for our armed services.
And very well said. I agree 100%. I'll add one thing, which is just generally, to anybody out there that's working in a career position, that's in the military, whatever, is don't give up hope. Listen, this is all going to get better in a year and in 3 years, okay? Those are like different increments of how much better it's going to get, I believe. And someday we're going to look back, and 4 years is going to seem like nothing. I mean, we always know in history it seems like nothing. But we lose this fight for our country if we get discouraged and we get exhausted. In chaos, like the people that we're up against, they love chaos. This actually energizes them. It's like a shot of 5-hour energy drink. For us, it exhausts us. And so our battle is to stay engaged through the exhaustion. And so that's what I would encourage.
Thank you so much. Chair now recognizes for 3 minutes the gentlelady from California, Ms. Camargo Della.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I want to thank our witnesses for being here today. I have to say, Representative Kinzinger, I've been rereading some of your interviews and your article on Substack, and I have to tell you that I'm not reading Republican, I am not reading Democrat, I am reading American. And so I thank you for that and for fighting against the brain rot. So you were on the select committee and you shared your experiences post January 6th. Can you sort of share with us what made you make the decision to put democracy over power or personal power or party?
Well, thank you. What made me do it is just simply my oath. I mean, what shocks me is that there were more people that didn't. I said this and I mean it, like, nothing that I did was heroic, but I was just surrounded by a bunch of cowards that were too scared to do it. I mean, this is like, to me, it's the most basic thing. How do you defend your country? You have been, as a member of the House, God has basically, they have picked you to represent 700,000 people. What an honor that is. And you're going to sit there and say, my career is more important than this moment with 700,000 people? I wear the name of Andreas O'Keefe, who's a friend of mine that was killed in Iraq, on my wrist. And I said, since the day I ran for Congress, I said, how can I, as a member of Congress, worry about my career if I'm going to vote for and eventually ask young people to go and die for their country? How can we ask a young person to die for their country if we are unwilling to give up our career for the same cause? That's how.
And so, thank you for that. And when you talk about cowardice and when you talk about leadership, what message is the speaker sending when he refuses to put up this plaque?
If I can say this just humbly, now that I'm out too, it makes it easier. Look, I'm a Christian. I have no reason to doubt that the speaker's a Christian. What I have a hard time seeing is how we can openly lie to 300 million people and say that's in line with our faith. Look, I'm not walking in his shoes. But the plaque is very simple. You don't have to say that Donald Trump won or lost 2020. All you have to say is DC Metro and Capitol Police did a hell of a job defending this Capitol that day. And had they not been there, and I can tell you, hand on the Bible, had they not been there, it would have been a very different and very bad day. So why the speaker can't do it? Because is he scared of people saying, oh my gosh, you put up a plaque? That's why I say double the size of it when you guys put it up.
I am running out of time, but I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for your voice and for your courage and for your commitment to this country. We must work and be as steadfast as possible in fighting against the rationalization, the socialization, and the legitimization of political violence and terror. And you are a warrior in that space. Thank you. I yield back.
Thank you. Young lady yields back. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Maryland, Mr. Raskin, for 3 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Adam Kinzinger, you're a great American patriot. It was such an honor serving with you on the January 6th Select Committee under Chairman Thompson. You were the only member of the committee who flew himself to work. There's always an air hangar for you in the Free State where you need a place to land. I wonder, you were, among other things, an officer in the Air National Guard. I wonder if you've had an opportunity to reflect on January 6th and the National Guard and what happened there. What was the standard set by Donald Trump on the threshold for activating the National Guard, because he was unilaterally on top of the DC National Guard, so he could have sent it at any point and decided not to, even when you had thousands of people in a violent mob storming the Capitol, driving the members out of the House and the Senate. Is that a standard that you think he has maintained in his new administration in terms of deployments to places like Los Angeles and Chicago?
Well, it's interesting because I was an active guardsman during January 6th, and I remember the whole time, like, just where's the National Guard, right? My people. And I remember actually when I left after we reconvened and voted I saw my first Guard soldiers, and that was very emotional for me. In a good and bad way, it was good because it's like I'm proud of them. It was bad because like why they're here. If you guys remember, after that day, my fellow Republicans tried this conspiracy theory that it was either Speaker Pelosi or the mayor of D.C. who was in charge of the D.C. National Guard. And I would get hit all the time saying, well, why didn't Speaker Pelosi or why didn't...
Good afternoon, this is Ronnie G again. The reason I was showing some of the January 6th hearing, this is not 5 years ago. This is new. This is the Democrats is saying things that the Republicans won't say because the MAGA Republicans, they don't believe in the Constitution. The MAGA Republicans, they are trying to overturn the Constitution so they can make Donald Trump their dictator or their king. I'm not just going to talk about politicians right now. I'm going to talk about preachers and deacons in churches too. See, God set up the religious system to govern and to look over the laws and everything that God put in place that we're supposed to go by. Like truth and honesty and trust and integrity. On the spiritual side, that's what we're supposed to be looking out for. We're supposed to be calling a lie or lie. We're supposed to be calling thieves thieves. We're supposed to be calling adulterers adulterers and fornicators fornicators and murderers murderers. But half this country, even until this very day, even though Trump can put a tax on us with tariffs, some 50, some 60, some 100%, at the same time, he giving tax breaks to multi-billionaires and multi-millionaires. But the church folks that claiming they love Jesus and believe in God, the church folks is right there with him. Laying hands all on him, worshiping him, sending him all that money so he can overthrow government and try to throw minorities out of the country that helped build this country. We up against an evil force. And I'm going to tell you, on God's side, the church ain't doing their job. I'm going to be honest. I'm in church. I'm an elder in church. I believe in church. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus Christ. But I don't care if you're a politician. I don't care if you're a criminal or you ain't nothing but a liar. Or are you a preacher or a motherboard or a deacon board? If you wrong, you just wrong. If you a liar, you just a liar. If you weak, you just weak. That's how come we in this predicament right now. Because the church folks just stood back and let evil run wild. The riot on the Capitol was in January 6th, 2020. Here it is, January 6th, 2025. All the lies that Donald Trump told. All the lies that the MAGA in the House and the Senate told. Here it is, January 6, 2025. There ain't nobody in America, no matter how dumb and ignorant that you claiming yourself to be, I'm calling you a lie right to your face. You are a liar. There ain't no way that all the evidence and all the proof that came out against Donald Trump and the MAGA in the House and the MAGA in the Senate and the MAGA in the Supreme Court. There ain't no way that you don't know that the House of Representatives with the MAGA, the Supreme Court, and the Senate, MAGA, they are all with Donald Trump, and they all with evil. They can try to pretend that they love Jesus and believe in God all they want to. I'm a man of God. I know what's in the Bible. I know what the law of God is. And I'm telling them to their face that there ain't nothing but liars. What you gonna do to me? What can you do to somebody that's speaking the truth? What can you do when someone speaks the truth that they are protected by God? In order for you to get me, you got to get Christ and you got to get Jesus. The Bible says there is no lie in the truth. I don't care who you are. I don't care what position that you in. I'm going to tell you what the Bible says. The Bible says, the Bible don't say nothing about no jury. The Bible don't say nothing about no courthouse. The Bible don't say nothing about no judge. The Bible say that you judge a tree by the fruit that it bears. That's what it says. The Bible said, Jesus says, at the mouth, not no courtroom, not no jury, not no judge, not no prosecutor, not no defense lawyer. The Bible simply says, this is how you make your decision. Because people are corrupt, and people are evil, and people are no good. MAGA and the president and the Supreme Court and MAGA and the House and the Senate, they against the Constitution. Don't you let nobody fool you. They not a child of the Most High God. You can't be a child of the Most High God and lie on God and Jesus at the same time. And lie on your brother and your sister. They lying. The Democrats and people, Adam Schiff right here, Ken Singer and all these, and Benny Thompson, they ain't lying. Those people is on God's side. I was sitting right in the front of my TV, personally, when Donald Trump made the speech. When Donald Trump invited all those no good KKK, Proud Boys, Oath Keeper, 3%er, the Patriot Front, when Donald Trump invited all those prejudiced people to Washington, D.C., and he got up on that stage and he claimed that the 2020 election was stolen from, he's still claiming that to the very day. He just said it yesterday. And 77 million people still following him. 77 million people is still trying to tear down the country. 77 million people is still trying to destroy the Constitution. But we don't have to let that happen. Because there is something in the Constitution that gives us the power to stop it. In the Constitution, there is no room for a dictator. In the Constitution, there is no room for a king. See, the Constitution gives us something that's given to us by God. It gives us the freedom to speak. It gives us freedom of press. You see how Donald Trump is trying to tear down the press? How he's talking down to the press and calling the press evil and calling the press lies? Do you know that the press is written in the Constitution? And the Constitution is what the president claimed that he was going to uphold. Whether foreign or domestic. And he's tearing down the press. That makes him a traitor. That makes him against the Constitution. It means that if he is against the Constitution, see, he's against my freedom. Because as a black American, if you take away the Constitution, I'm just a slave. I hope you understand that, right? If you trying to take away the Constitution, you are trying to take away my rights. You're trying to take away my freedom. If you ain't white, that the Constitution was written for, and make them think they better than somebody else. If you ain't white, while these prejudiced white people is trying to, and some of these no good blacks, when they trying to take away your right, see, they trying to take away your free. See, they trying to take you out of the Constitution. And because you're trying to take certain people out of the Constitution because of their race, that make you a traitor. You can't tell me that you're not trying to be a traitor. In any time that the Constitution gives every American citizen the exact same rights, and another person within that Constitution is taking away people's rights, anybody that go along with trying to take away my right is my enemy. They're not just my enemy. They God's enemy. They Jesus' enemy. Everybody under God has got the exact same rights. The freedom of speech, the freedom of religion, the freedom to go whichever way you want to go. That could be some consequences now, but you got the freedom to do it. And these prejudiced white people, and some black, and some Mexican, and some Asian, it's trying to take away freedom that the Constitution gives to every man, woman, and child. They're evil. They're evil. As a child of God, you don't have to sit back and let evil run all over you. That's not biblical. The Bible said that whenever a light show up, the evil must flee. If the evil is not fleeing, that means that the light didn't show up. That's what that means. The light show up in me. I'm going to tell you how it is. I'm going to speak the truth to you whether you like it or not. In 2 Timothy, it says that if I'm a child of God, the man of God, I can be instant, in season and out of season. What that means, whether you like it or not, I can tell you what thus said the Lord God. You don't have to hear it, but I have the right to say it. Because I love my sisters and brothers, and my desire is the same as Jesus. That no one should be lost. But I'm never not gonna call a lie anymore. I'm never just gonna stand back and see all the evil that's going on and all the evil things that's being carried out. I don't care whether you're preaching in the pulpit or a deacon on the deacon board or a mother on the mother board. A lie is a lie. And if you ain't willing to stand up for God and to stand up for truth, what are you here for? Thank you.